Well, we've all seen what happened in almost every one of these instances. They fail. Why? Because in most cases the CEO must ask people to do things that are inextricably and inexorably in conflict. Divisions are asked to compete against their traditional competitors, focusing on maintaining a leadership position in their individual markets. At the same time, they're asked to join with other divisions in their company in a much broader fight that inevitably involves giving up some resources or assets that are needed to win in their traditional market. There is great risk in asking a decentralized unit of an enterprise to be good at its traditional mission and, at the same time, fulfill a shared role in creating value in a new mission. The conflicts, most often having to do with resource allocations, but also with pricing, branding, and distribution, will be overwhelming. I am about to suggest something that will annoy almost all the world's management consultants. They make a lot of money defining new industry models and describing synergy opportunities. CEOs should not go to this third level of integration unless it is absolutely necessary. For most enterprises, the case for integration ends with Category 2. Category 1 is a no-brainer. Most back-office functions can be combined with significant economics of scale. Category 2, integration of the front-office functions that touch the marketplace, can produce significant benefits, but the integration must be executed superbly or the benefits will be decimated by the parochial interests of individual units. Category 3 is very much a bet-the-company proposition. However, there will be times when a CEO feels it is absolutely necessary to bet the company on a new model, a truly integrated model. I recently met on 2 occasions with CEOs who run media and entertainment companies, and they said they are agonizing over this decision. If you decide to go down this path, as I did at IBM, let me outline a few of the steps that I think are critical to making a successful conversion. I can't and won't belabor this issue here, it would fill another volume. What follows are only very introductory comments. Shift the power. One of the most surprising and depressing things I have learned about large organizations is the extent to which individual parts of an enterprise behave in an unsupportive and competitive way toward other parts of the organization. It is not isolated or aberrant behavior. It exists everywhere, in companies, universities, and certainly in governments. Individuals and departments, agencies, faculties, whatever they are called, jealously protect their prerogatives, their autonomy, and their turf. Consequently, if a leader wants fundamentally to shift the focus of an institution, he or she must take power away from the existing barons and bestow it publicly on the new barons. Admonishments of "you play together, children" is sometimes work on the playground, they never work in a large enterprise. At IBM, to be a truly integrated company, we needed to organize our resources around customers, not products or geographies. However, the geographic and product chieftains owned all of the resources. Nothing would have changed except polite platitudes and timely head nodding if we didn't redirect the levers of power. This meant making changes in who controlled the budgets, who signed off on employees' salary increases and bonuses, and who made the final decisions on pricing and investments. We virtually ripped this power from the hands of some and gave it to others. If a CEO thinks he or she is redirecting or reintegrating an enterprise but doesn't distribute the basic levels of power, in effect, redefining who calls the shots, the CEO is trying to push string up a hill. The media companies are a good example. If a CEO wants to build a truly integrated platform for digital services in the home, he or she cannot let the music division or movie division cling to its existing technology or industry structure, despite the fact that these traditional approaches maximize short-term profits. Measure and reward the future, not the past. I have already pointed out that people do what you inspect, not what you expect. Leaders who are thinking about creating true integration in their institutions must change the measurement and reward systems to reinforce this new direction. I recall one of the senior executives at American Express who was big on synergy. He spoke about it constantly. Yet, in all the financial reports, the total focus was on the traditional, independent profit centers. I remember the poor souls who were assigned the task of creating synergies among the card, traveler's check, and travel divisions. At best they were tolerated, more often they were simply ignored. The compensation system at American Express did not help. 98+% of a manager's annual compensation came from the results of his or her specific unit. Synergy points, which became an exercise in creative writing around bonus time, might add a minuscule amount to your pay. I knew we could not get the integration we needed at IBM without introducing massive changes to the measurement and compensation system. I've already explained that the group executives who ran IBM's operating businesses were not paid bonuses based on their unit's performance. All their pay was derived from IBM's total results. When a CEO tells me that he or she is considering a major reintegration of his or her company, I try to say, politely, if you are not prepared to manage your compensation this way, you probably should not proceed. Measuring financial results is the same issue. We were never able to move to an integrated customer view rather than a geographic view until we stopped creating P&L statements for the geographic units. Of course, many of the geographic leaders went ballistic. We can't manage our business without P&L oversight. Sorry, I said, you no longer manage a business. You now serve as a critical support function to our integrated worldwide customer organization. Walk the talk. As with much that I have discussed in this book, CEO leadership is mandatory before substantial changes become systemic and sustainable. They require real involvement and not exhortation, delegation, and then surprise when change doesn't happen. It took me more than 5 years of daily attention to get IBM to accept a new go-to-market model. It was a tremendous battle. If you choose to follow a similar path, you must be prepared to make it happen personally. The assignment cannot be delegated. Who would you delegate it to? The operating team that hates the loss of autonomy? Staff executives who will be ambushed and disemboweled by those fated to lose power? No. It's a lonely battle, and it explains why, after 20 years of talking, there are no true financial supermarkets. There are no integrated, multi-service telecommunications companies. There are no fully integrated entertainment companies. There are plenty of financial services companies spinning off their insurance and/or money management businesses. There are plenty of divestitures of cable systems and wireless assets by telephone companies. There is plenty of skepticism about convergence in the entertainment industry. Much of the press coverage of IBM over the past decades was focused on our strategic restructuring, as well it should have been, since without that restructuring there would be no IBM today. However, as I pointed out earlier, our current strategies will and should change as the industry continues to evolve very rapidly. History determines legacies, but if I had a vote, the most significant legacy of my tenure at IBM would be the truly integrated entity that has been created. It certainly was the most difficult and risky change I made. 27. IBM farewell. As I take my leave of unexpected feelings, IBM, I am experiencing a flood of. I left McKinsey at the age of 35, happy with what I'd learned and raring to go to a new life as an operating executive. Partners frequently depart McKinsey to join their clients. I was simply following a path created by others. I left American Express after 11 years primarily because I disagreed with the overall corporate strategy being pursued at the time. Had events been different at American Express, I might have remained there to this day. As I have already said, the leveraged buyout of RJR Nabisco was doomed from the start, so my leaving there was a well-timed exit, but it was also a response to the enormously exciting challenge of trying to lead the turnaround of IBM. My feelings as I leave IBM are quite different from those earlier transitions. With all my other moves, I was always looking forward to the future, to new challenges. While I am excited about the new life I am constructing for my post-IBM years, I find myself in the final months of my IBM career looking back more than I have ever done before. I came to IBM as an outsider, a force for change. I had to make a lot of difficult decisions, wrench the company in ways it did not want to go. Along the way, in my heart I became a true blue IBMer. Interestingly, this outsider occupied the CEO's office longer than any IBM chief executive officer other than the Watsons. Here is the letter. I wrote to my colleagues to announce my retirement. January 29, 2002. L. V. Gerstner, Jr. Office of the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer. Subject: CEO Transition. Dear colleague, when I joined IBM on April 1, 1993, there was no thought about my retirement date. The board of directors asked me to focus on one short-term objective: save the company. Given my very limited knowledge of IBM at the time, I quite honestly did not know if that could be done. I certainly didn't know how long it might take. Well, with the support and leadership of thousands of IBMers, we did turn the company around. That work and my original mandate was largely completed by the mid-90s. But along the way something happened, something that, quite frankly, surprised me. I fell in love with IBM. I decided, like many of you, that this was the best company in the world at which to spend my career. IBM is a fascinating, important, frustrating, exhausting, and fulfilling experience, and I've enjoyed every minute. Well, maybe not every minute. But here we are nearly 9 years later, and now it is time to address retirement.